Welcome back. In this video, we're going to focus on adding the easy and hard buttons here that will impact the difficulty of the game. So when we load the page up, hard is already selected and we see 6 different buttons here, or 6 different squares. And then I can click on easy and that remains selected. And we only have 3 squares to pick from, and then I can go back to hard. We're going to start by adding in the 2 buttons that we need. So I'm going to go into my HTML and add in 2 buttons. The first one will say easy, the second one will say hard, and we'll refresh. Okay, and that looks fine for now. You'll notice our span isn't taking up any space yet. And as soon as some text shows up, it pushes those buttons away. We'll focus on the styling later, but there is one element of the styling that I do want to focus on, which is making it look selected when the page loads or when we choose easy or hard. The corresponding button should stay blue. And the way that we do that is using a class and turning that class on and off. So I'm going to define a class here, and it's going to be simpler than this styling here. It's just going to be a color, so our background color, and the class is going to be called selected because that's what we're doing. We're adding the selected class to the button that is selected, and it's just going to have a background set to blue to start. And then what we're going to do is just give the hard mode button class equal selected. And if we refresh on our code, you can see that hard is engaged. It's hideous, yes, but it at least shows us that we're on hard mode. So then what we want to do is add the code to switch that when I click on easy. And then the trickiest part is showing the 3 colors when we click on easy and the 6 colors when we click on hard. Okay, let's get started here. So to make these buttons actually work, we need to select them in our JavaScript and then have some click listeners and run some code when each of them is clicked. So let's make it easier to select. And I'm going to start by giving them each an ID, easy BTN, and then hard BTN. And we will be changing this. If you're seeing any red flags here, or if you're thinking we're using too many IDs, we will be refactoring this in just a few moments. But we're going to start with 2 different IDs, easy button, hard button. Go to our JavaScript and select them. So var easy BTN equals document.querySelector with our Octothorpe easy BTN. Make sure that we capitalize things the same. There we go. And the same thing for hard. And I don't know if you caught that, in Sublime, if you select the word easy and you hit Command D, it will then automatically select the next instance. And I can keep doing that to select all of them, but I just want these 2, and I'm going to type hard instead. So we have our 2 buttons, and then we can do something like this, easy btn.add event listener, click, and all we're going to do is just alert that the easy button was clicked. Just like this. Alert, easy button clicked, and make sure that that works. So we refresh, click on easy, okay, it says easy button clicked, and then we'll duplicate this for hard button. And we'll say that hard button was clicked, and refresh, easy still works, and hard button tells us that the hard button was clicked. So rather than just doing that, let's work on getting the class, the selected class, to reflect which one is selected. So if we click on the easy button, all we want to do is easy button.classlist.add selected. And if we refresh now, I click on easy, it adds the selected class to easy. But the problem is that it still remains on the hard button, so that's easy to fix. We just want to have a hard button.classlist.remove selected. And now, if we click on easy, the hard mode goes away. But if we click on hard, we still don't have that logic. So we can fix that by just copying this code over. And we'll now have hard button.classlist.add selected, easy button.classlist.remove selected. Okay, let's test it out. All right, so we now have the easier part done, which is the 2 buttons showing which one is currently selected. and I refresh, and hard is automatically selected because we do have 6 elements. Next up, we need to add the logic to actually change the difficulty, not just the style of these buttons here, but to only show 3 elements or 6 squares. So we need to do that next. Before we get started, let's check again on the solution to see how it works. So if I refresh and I click on easy, notice that we get new colors. And we have to do that because there's a risk that I have 6 colors here, and the color that is selected here might be one of these 3 that when I click on easy, those 3 are removed. So that could be a pretty game-breaking bug. So rather than deal with that, we're just going to pick 3 new colors. So the process is we refresh the, so the process is when I click on the easy button, we're going to generate 3 new colors for the colors array. We're going to pick 1 color from those 3. We're going to update that up here with the picked color. We're going to update the 3 squares here. And the important part is that we also hide the 3 other squares. So we don't delete them, we just hide them by setting display to be none. And then same thing goes for hard. We generate 6 new colors in the colors array. We pick 1 to be our picked color. We display that up here. Then we reshow the 3 squares at the bottom and then set each one to have a color. Okay, so let's tackle this now. First of all, when we click on the easy button, let's start there. We're going to want to generate new colors. So colors equals generate random colors, this time 3. And then once we have that done, we're going to want to pick a new picked color. So picked color equals pick color, just like that. So once we have our colors and our picked color, we can start by just changing the display up here to show the new picked color. So that's as easy as saying color display dot text content equals picked color. And if we refresh, I'm going to get some new colors here just to show you a few things. When I click on easy, as we mentioned before, the color is changing, and behind the scenes there's a colors array that changes as well. So let's look at what colors is right now, and then I click on easy mode and I look at what colors is again, and it's different. And then also picked color is different. So now let's talk about how we hide the 3 bottom divs when we click on easy mode. Or we could hide the top 3, it doesn't matter, but I'm going to do the bottom 3. The way that we'll do that is by looping through and setting the bottom 3's display property to be none. So let me show you how that works. I'm just going to pick one of them. So let's do a document.querySelectorAll square or dot square, and then work with the 5th one, well actually the 6th one with index of 5, and then set that style.display to be none. And you'll see that it disappears. And then if I want it to come back, which I will, if we click on hard mode, I just need to say style.display equals block. All right, so let's go ahead and implement this in our code. The way that we'll achieve this is by looping through all 6 at first, and for the first 3, we're going to give them a new color, and for the bottom 3, we're going to hide them. So rather than having 2 loops to do that, we'll do it at once. So for var I equals 0, I is less than squares.length, I++, we're going to take advantage of the fact that colors has 3 items in it. So we're going to do something like this. If colors I, so if there is a next color, so this will happen on the first 3, we're going to write squares I dot style dot background equals colors I. So for the first 3 in our case, because colors only has 3 items, we're going to loop through all of the squares and check if there is a color at that index. And if there is, we're going to change the color of those first 3. So let's make sure that works. I click on easy, and you'll see only the top 3 are changing. So we're close. All we want to do now is hide the bottom 3. So we'll do that with else squares I dot style dot display equals none. And if we refresh and make it full screen, if I click on easy mode, you can see that we lose the bottom 3. and the colors of the top three are changing. And let's try to figure out which one this is. So 163 red, 125 green, and a little bit of blue. There we go. We can refresh, try a few more. We do have one small problem. As I refresh some of these and I click on easy mode, we're only generating 3 colors here. But if I click on the new colors button, so I'll show you what colors looks like right now. It's 3 items. If I click on new colors though, and then I look at colors, it's actually 6 items. And that's because we're not keeping track of which mode that we're on. So that code is right here on the reset button. We're just saying colors is equal to generate random colors. So we'll need to fix that eventually. But before we do that, let's get our hard button so that it sets us back to 6 squares and each one has its own color. To do that, I'm going to just take some of this code and duplicate it down here, which is always a bad sign. And that's why we're going to refactor this in just a little bit. So the first thing we want to do, I'm just going to copy all of it into our hard button event listener. Colors is going to be 6 colors. Picked color will be the same. Color display.text content is the same. And then we're going to loop through all of them. In this loop, we need to do 2 different things. The first is to assign a new color to every square, but we also potentially need to make sure that the 3 are unhidden at the bottom. So we're going to get rid of the if statement for now, and we're just going to set all the squares to have a background color to be colors I, and all the squares will have a display of block. So this is a little bit wasteful because we only need the last 3 technically, and we're resetting all of them to be display block, but that's a really minor thing we can focus on later. So let's just see if this works. Refresh. Tells us we have a syntax error on line 36. Let's see what we're missing. And we just have an extra curly brace here. So if we save now and refresh, we have 6 colors like we always have. If I click on easy, we get 3. If I click on hard, I now go back to 6. I get a new color up here, and let's just make sure that that keeps working. So easy, hard, easy, hard. When I go to hard mode, let's click on new colors again, go back to easy, go back to hard, easy, and hard. All right, and let's play this and see if it works. So picked color is 196, 170, 57. So a lot of red, a lot of green, and a little bit of blue. So that's a lot of red and green is a yellowy color. So it's not going to be that one or that one or that one. It's going to be this one. We click, and that looks like it's working just fine. If I click on easy again, we go back to 3 colors. The most pressing issue facing us though is when I'm in easy mode and I click play again, this is going to generate 6 colors, not 3, and it's going to pick a random color out of 6, which may not be displaying to us, which is going to be problematic. To fix that, all we need to do is have a variable that keeps track of what mode that we're on, easy or hard, or the number of squares, 3 or 6. So we'll do that up here. We'll have a variable called number of squares, and that will start at 6, and we'll just declare that up here, and we'll say colors equals generate random colors of number, and let's make it num of squares, or num squares. It's a little easier. Like that, and save, and then we need to replace that in a few places. So when we click on easy mode, we want num squares to be 3, and then we generate random colors with num squares. And then further down, when we click on the hard button, we want num squares to be 6, so num squares equals 6, and then generate random colors, num squares. And then there's a few other places right here. When we click on that reset button, we want to generate the correct number of colors, which would be num squares there as well. So that should take care of it for us. If we go back and refresh, we go to easy mode, and let's win this one. So mostly red, a little blue, not this one, not that one. There we go. And if I click on play again, let's make sure when I type colors, we only see 3 colors. And if I looked at picked color, picked color, you can see it's inside of the colors array. So we don't have to worry about that anymore. our logic now works.